you mentioned the younger generation there and providing materials. Do you go into schools and provide educational materials as part of your marketing as well, or part of what your organisation does?
Yeah, so we recently, well, I think throughout Runnymede's history, we have pillars of the work we do. So it's of things like criminal justice, things like employment, and education is a big one and always has been a big one. For us, so we've done over the years so much different work on education, but recently we just did a big, ongoing campaign with Penguin Books, sorry. It's called Lit in Colour, and it's basically looking at how we can diversify the English literature curriculum. So typically a lot of conversation on history is about migration and education, is about migration and history and empire. And what we thought is actually English literature is a really unique subject in that it tackles all of those conversations and themes, but is never really spoken about in terms of race. And what we found is that I think the main finding was that fewer than 1% of students at GCSE have studied a book by an author of colour, which is crazy when you think about Britain's history with colonialism and empire and the authors that have sprung up all over the world who are really well established, and then the newer authors as well who are also super well established and who many students will read in their spare time. And that's given that I think a third of students in the UK, in England, are of a Black and ethnic minority background. And we found that despite that, I think it was like 70 or 75% of students, whether they were of an ethnic minority background or not, they wanted more diversity in their curriculum. So we're doing ongoing work to produce those resources. Because the main finding as well was that teachers don't feel comfortable talking about race in the classroom, and they don't know how to navigate those conversations. And because they are becoming increasingly politicized, whether that's right or wrong, despite that, their kids are always going to ask these questions, and it's really important that they have the tools and they feel supported in being able to have those conversations in school. I remember studying Of Mice and Men, which obviously has really derogatory and bad language in it, including the N-word. And I remember our teacher just didn't say it and didn't say why she didn't say it. But actually, you can talk about those things in a way that is helpful, I think, for children and students to be able to understand why those words have such harmful and historic connotations that we should all know and be aware of, rather than just skim it over and be like, oh, I don't know how to talk about that, and that's really difficult. They need to feel equipped to be able to have those conversations, and I think from that we'll see so much change. We're working with Penguin to produce resources. I think they're from Key Stage. I think it's Key Stages 2 until 5, but it's on our website and on the Lit in Colour website as well. We'd encourage people to have a look at that. That's specifically for English literature.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I did English literature as my degree, and I completely understand, and I agree with you. We did To Kill a Mockingbird as my GCSE text, which I love, but it's very much a sort of racism from a white perspective. I think it's fair to say, obviously, it's through the eyes of kind of the white characters, and I think it's really important for all cultures to feel represented in the classroom. It's going to be much easier then for all cultures to engage with the curriculum a lot more if they feel part of it and they feel like they're part of that discussion, and starting that from an early age can quash so many biases that can continue into adulthood if it's not directly addressed early on. So that's really exciting to me. I used to be a teacher back in the day, so I'm really glad to see so many incredible changes happening to the curriculum, and I guess it'll help parents as well, because I think it's important for parents to take on that responsibility as well, to educate their children on race and equality, and like you said, providing context to why this isn't acceptable, why we shouldn't say certain words, why linguistically and kind of the language has changed over the years, positively, I'd like to think, why those changes have happened. And yeah, absolutely, such a fantastic partnership with Penguin.